You're sitting still right now, completely still. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is watching you from the dark. You are, by every measurable definition, safe, and yet something inside you is scanning. Your eyes drift to movement near the edge of your vision. A sound outside makes your chest tighten before your mind has even named it. You haven't relaxed, not completely, since the moment you woke up. And the strangest part? That isn't a flaw. That is the system working exactly as designed. Your brain was not built for the world you live in. It was built for a world that wanted you dead. For roughly 2 million years, your ancestors woke up every morning inside a game they could not opt out of. The rules were simple. Anything that moved fast might eat you. Anything that was quiet might be waiting. Darkness was not peaceful. Darkness was where the predators went when they didn't want to be seen. And the humans who survived that world were not the calmest ones. They were not the most rational ones. They were the ones who were afraid first, and write about it often enough to pass their genes forward. You are descended from the anxious ones. In 2013, neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux published work that changed how scientists understood fear. His decades of research on the amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster buried deep in your brain, revealed something startling. The amygdala does not wait for you to understand what's happening before it reacts. It fires before the rational part of your brain has even received the signal. The fear response, LeDoux found, travels on two pathways simultaneously: a short, fast route that bypasses conscious thought entirely, and a longer, slower route that goes through the cortex where actual reasoning happens. The slow route always arrives late. You flinch before you think. You freeze before you decide. Your body has already begun preparing to run before your mind has finished asking what that sound was. That is not a glitch. That was the entire point. Think about what that meant on the ancient savannah. Imagine a rustle in the tall grass 50 meters away. One ancestor hears it and pauses. She waits. She calculates. By the time she has determined whether it is a leopard or just wind, the leopard has closed the distance. The ancestor who didn't wait, who was already moving before she finished processing, is still breathing. The careful thinker contributed to someone else's dinner. Caution, measured and rational caution, was a death sentence often enough that evolution stopped relying on it. So your brain built a trigger system instead. Researchers call this the threat detection bias. Your brain is asymmetrically tuned. It is wired to over-identify danger rather than under-identify it. In evolutionary biology, this is sometimes called the smoke detector principle, coined by psychiatrist Randolph Nesse. A smoke detector goes off for burnt toast. It also goes off for an actual fire. Most of the time, it's toast. But the one time it catches the fire is the only time that matters. You would rather have 1,000 false alarms than one silent detector. Your brain operates the same way. It would rather flag 10 shadows that aren't threats than miss one shadow that is. The cost of being wrong about a false alarm is a racing heart and embarrassment. The cost of being wrong about a real threat is your life. That calculation made perfect sense for 2 million years. Then, roughly 10,000 years ago, the world changed. You built walls. You domesticated animals. You started farming instead of hunting. The large predators largely disappeared from your daily environment. The existential physical threats your ancestors navigated moment to moment became, for many people in many parts of the world, genuinely rare. But the brain didn't get the update. There was no time. 10,000 years is almost nothing on the evolutionary clock. It takes hundreds of thousands of years, sometimes millions, for significant changes to propagate through a species. Your ancestors lived with predators for incomparably longer than they have lived without them. And so the ancient hardware is still running inside modern software. Here is where it gets strange. Your threat detection system doesn't just respond to leopards and snakes. It responds to anything it pattern matches as danger-shaped. In a 2008 study, psychologist Christine Harris and colleagues found that social rejection activates many of the same neural pathways as physical pain. Being excluded from a group, having someone look at you with contempt, being ignored when you expected to be seen, these register in your brain in a strikingly similar way to being physically harmed. Why? Because for your ancestors, social rejection wasn't just emotionally painful, It was potentially fatal. Exile from the group meant facing the wilderness alone. No fire, no shared watch through the night, no one to help you if something came for you in the dark.